'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night, and when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night, this summer night, this summer night.
Good morning from All Star Movies. It is very bright and early this morning because I'm aiming to get to Discovery Cove for 7 o'clock. So I got up at 5:30. As I just said, today is day 11 of my trip and I'll be spending the day at Discovery Cove. I have admission booked with a dolphin swim, and excitingly I also have a trainer for a day. So I don't really know what that'll involve. I don't know how much I'll be able to film, and whatever I do film will be on my phone, so I'm sorry if it's not as good quality, but I'm not risking taking this camera to a water park. So I'm going to be heading over in an Uber. I'll see you there. Hello, it's the next day. I've got quite a bit to catch you up on. But to start with, I wanted to talk about my Discovery Cove day. So that was day 10, I think I said it was day 11 at the beginning of the vlog. My day at Discovery Cove was absolutely magical. As I said, I did the trainer for a day programme. I was put with a lovely trainer called Jocelyn. There was only 6 of us in my group. There was a second group of trainer for a day which I think had 7 in. So it's really limited numbers every day. So first things first, she took us and we had our breakfast. She then took us to get wetsuits or vests and get changed and sun creamed up and whatever else you wanted to do. We were then a bit ahead of schedule, so the first thing she did was took us backstage at Discovery Cove. You weren't allowed to film back there, so she took us to the dolphin holding pool where some of the dolphins are kept before they're going to be before they volunteered to work with the public for the day. So they have a separate pool where they normally live. In the morning it's up to them when they come through into these holding pools, which means they'll be working with the public for the day. So she said on that day there was a dolphin called Kendall who decided she didn't want to work with the public today, and so she stayed in their home pool, and obviously it's completely the dolphins' decision. So we met some of the dolphins there, not interacting with them, but they sort of stood at the side of the pool, so came up to say hello, and we watched them playing with each other and things, and it was lovely. She also showed us the pool where they do health checks, and she talked us through the process of how they do health checks and how they've trained them to get on the scales and things like that. She showed us all the toys that they use, and also we went back into the fish room to show how they choose and prepare the diets for the dolphins. So after the backstage part there, we then went to look at the otters. So we had like a private session with the otters where the otter trainer came down, was feeding them, and so we got to watch the otters. We then went to the marmosets and did exactly the same thing. They talked us through looking after the marmosets and fed them, so you could see them all there as well. Sorry to interject, but it's Lynette from the future. So from the evening when I was recording this, I've just watched back some of these clips, and because I was so tired, you'll find out why in a little bit, some of the clips are a little bit incoherent. I gave wrong information and they didn't really make sense. So I'm just going to re-record some of the bits that I got wrong. So the next thing we did was we went to the aviary, and we got to see a load of the exotic birds that they have there. They have 3 different rooms. They give you cups of mixed food, so there's bits of like seeds and there's peas and bits of fruit in there that they really enjoy. You hold up the cup for them and they usually land on your hand or on the edge of the cup and come and feed from it, and it was absolutely gorgeous to watch. I got quite a few birds to land on me, and it was just absolutely lovely. So the next thing we did was we then went to see the animal ambassadors. So we saw a small mammal and a bird. So we saw our small mammal first, which was a sloth. She was absolutely gorgeous. We got to stroke her, and then we had photos taken with her, so you'll probably see some of the photos here. After we got information about how the sloths live, we then changed over to the bird. The bird, I can't remember the name of the species, but it looked like a small toucan. If I can find out what it's called, I'll put it here somewhere. But the bird was called Mr. Green. Weirdly, he was found in Florida. They're native to South America. He shouldn't have been there. And he actually just landed in a SeaWorld employee's garden. So very fortunate for the bird, because he probably wouldn't have survived in the wild. It's likely that he was a pet, because he was very tame, so he wouldn't have survived in the wild. So luckily he got taken in and became an animal ambassador at Discovery Cove. Apparently he lived in the aviary for a little bit, but was a bit overly friendly. Apparently this species likes holes and things, so he liked going down people's shirts or up people's shorts. So they said it got a little bit awkward, so he became an animal ambassador instead. But again, we got to have photos with him, and yeah, he was just delightful. So you'll probably see more photos here of Mr. Green. As we were heading to our next stop, we also ran into the Torque, which was the the armadillo. And so we saw the armadillo as well, who was all curled up in a ball. Apparently she's very chilled, she likes to nap a lot, so that's pretty much how she spends the day. So after that we went to the Grand Reef, where they've got all the fish and the rays, and they gave us food and we fed them, not from our hands, like you drop them into the water, but it means that the rays come right by you, so you can sort of gently touch the rays and things. So again, that was absolutely lovely. And straight after that we headed to our dolphin swim. So we started by doing the standard dolphin swim. We had Luna as a dolphin, which is also the name of my dog, so absolutely loved that. Luna was absolutely gorgeous. She was born at Discovery Cove. Her mum is also part of the same social pod. She's called Mariah. So they talked us through basically like the anatomy of Luna. We got to stroke her quite a few times. They showed us how they've trained her to make different sounds with the blowhole, from like foghorn sounds to farting sounds, and how she'll even do it underwater, so she makes like a bubbling sound. And apparently she has the longest tongue at Discovery Cove, and they've trained her to sort of stick her tongue out to people. It was just so cute. So then we got to do lots of photos. We got to do so it's sort of like where the dolphin's posed in front of you, where the dolphin's giving you a kiss on the cheek. Although partway through mine, she opened her mouth at me, so it looked like she was just sort of smiling at my face, which is lovely. They also do family photos, but because I was on my own, there was actually two other people who were there on their own. They did a photo of us stood in front of the dolphin while the dolphin's sort of waving its tail in the background. We also got towed through the water, so you place one hand on the dorsal fin, one on one of the flippers, and they pull you through the water. And again, got photos of that. And other than they showed us like lots of tricks, so where they jump out of the water and things like that as well. Apart from that, we then got out of the dolphin pool. So two people from our group weren't part of the trainer for the day, so that was the end of their dolphin interaction. The rest of us that did trainer for the day then got a second dolphin interaction, so that was back to back. So we got out to the side of the pool and then went back in on our own. And it's me from the future again. I'm going to take over the rest of this section because the rest was really incoherent. So forgive me if I keep looking down. I've got notes of things that I want to make sure I remember to say. So as I was saying, our next section was our double session with two dolphins, so the bit that's exclusive to trainer for a day. And the first thing we did was we did what they call belly rides. where the dolphin is on its belly and you hold on to both flippers and they tow you through the water again, but where you're sort of belly to belly. The dolphin has to be quite strong to do that, I believe. So we actually had a different dolphin. We had Yoko, who was a much bigger dolphin, and she was older and had been trained properly in it. Luna's actually only a teenager. I think they said she was 14. So she's still got a bit of growing and training to do yet. So we had Yoko for that. They then tried to send Yoko away after that. Yoko did not want to leave, bless her. She was absolutely adorable. She was wanting to stay around for more fish, and so they had to call her away with fish. They then got Luna back out, and we also had another dolphin called Soleil. And we did a posed photo where there's a dolphin on either side of you and you sort of got your hands on each one, which was adorable. Soleil's, I think, a year younger than Luna. I think she was 13, if I remember rightly, somewhere around there. And started to misbehave partway through those photos. So I had my photo with Luna and Soleil, but then partway through, Soleil decided that she'd had enough and was going to swim off, which of course absolutely fine, that's up to the dolphin. So they actually got Mariah out, who was Luna's mum. And the rest of the people who hadn't had the photos yet with the two of them had them with Luna and Mariah. And then the last thing we did was we did photos where the dolphins are in the background, sort of stood up, and they were sort of waving their flippers. So I had that with Luna and Mariah then, which was absolutely adorable. It was so cute, and both such lovely dolphins. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was that Mariah was a bit slower at sort of doing the standing up in the water and waving her fins, and Luna, bless her, kept waiting for her. So she'd sort of get her top half of her body out of the water and sort of look over and wait till her mum was ready and then start doing the wave. It was absolutely adorable. It was so cute to watch. So after that, we then got out of the pool again, and that was basically it for the trainer for a day. It ended about 12:30 because they give you time to do what you want for the rest of the afternoon. So the first thing I did was I walked back along the beach. That was the dolphins' break for lunch as well. So I watched the dolphins playing in the pool. They were throwing the buoys around. Yeah, just absolutely adorable. So I've just finished the dolphin swim. This is the dolphin pool, and they're just playing with toys at the moment. Such a poser. I then decided to head to the otter habitat again because I was nearby, and see what more I could see of the otters. They weren't very active at that point. I think they'd been fed and were basically napping. So I then went round the lazy river. I also went to the aviary again, got to feed some more birds. I think the birds were a little bit more hungry this time. So there was a bit more action in terms of the birds. There was more willing to fly down to you. I then went to the Grand Reef, so the place where we were feeding the fish and the rays, and just sort of sat on a rock and watched the fish and the rays go by for a little bit, which was lovely and relaxing. After that, I went to get my photos. I wanted to go a bit early to avoid the rush. A lot of people go at the end of the day, so they recommended you go, not leave it till the end of the day essentially. So I'd actually pre-booked my photo package before I left, so I'd prepaid for that already. You can get deals online, it's a little bit cheaper, and it means you already know what you're getting before you go. And you just take a piece of paper and it's like an e-ticket. So I'd booked the Discovery package, which was where I get all of my digital photos. I get 8 prints, so I got to choose which of my photos I wanted as prints. And then I also got 2 photo frames. Now the frames are quite big, they're chunky. So I kind of thought they'd maybe be like cardboard frames when they said that, especially when they were giving you 2 of them for free, well, as part of the package. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. I immediately realised, A, I don't really have need for 2 of them, and B, it's the weighty, and it's the weight and space in your luggage. So I actually gave one away to a family for free. They seemed a bit sceptical at first. They were sort of thinking, what's the catch? And I was just trying to get rid of the frame. But they were very grateful, so they took that. I've kept one. I'm hoping I'll be able to fit into my luggage, but we'll have to see. If I can't fit it in, it's not something that I'm overly bothered about, so it might be that I find someone else to give that one away to as well, but we'll see. So yes, got all my photos, and it was really nice to see what photos had been taken. One of the disadvantages of being solo is that no one had told me, just before we'd had our dolphin interaction, all the food and drink is free. So there's like Coca-Cola machines, so you've got Coke, Minute Maid lemonade, Fanta, Sprite, all those kinds of things. And they also do snacks as well, obviously as well alongside your main meal. So they have crisps, pretzels, and just before the dolphin swim I had a warm cookie, which was delicious. However, no one told me that I had chocolate on my face for the dolphin interaction. So at first I looked at my photos and went, oh my god, I've got like spots that have broken out on my chin. And then looked closer and went, no, that's chocolate. So not ideal that I have chocolate underneath my mouth on my dolphin photos, but nothing I can do about it now. So after picking up my photos, I went to get lunch. They provide a wide range of food at Discovery Cove. There's burgers, there's salmon, steak, chicken tenders. So I just went for some chicken tenders and the waffle fries and a chocolate cake. So really good food. I didn't want anything fancy, I just really wanted some chicken tenders. So after lunch I then decided to call it a day. There wasn't really anything else I really wanted to do because training for a day pretty much covers it all. It guarantees you those interactions with those animals. So I stopped by the gift shop to have a look around. Unfortunately there wasn't really anything that interested me. There was a spirit jersey that I really liked the look of. Unfortunately they didn't have my size, so that was what it was. I couldn't get that. Hi, so I know you've been seeing Lynette from the future as in the next day from Discovery Cove. This is Lynette from even further in the future, from when I'm actually editing these vlogs, which is taking a while, so I apologise. Basically at the time I was talking about things, as I'd already said, I was very emotional about everything, and the consequences of what happened spread out over several days, and I really want to try and contain that negativity just to this vlog, explain what happened, and how the situation kind of ended up, so it's not being spread out throughout the vlogs. I want to try and keep the rest of the vlogs just about the parks and things like that. So excuse me if I keep looking down, I've got notes again to make sure I cover everything. So what happened at Discovery Cove is most of the time I had my phone in a waterproof sort of sealed case thing that went on a lanyard around my neck. My phone is supposed to be water resistant, but I didn't want to take any risks, so kept it in there. When I revisited the otters in the afternoon, obviously it was the heat of the day and the water you stand in is very cold, and so I wanted to see if I could get a bit more footage of the otters. They weren't very active, but they were napping and they were kind of cute. When I went to try and video through my phone case, it was steamed up. So I momentarily took my phone out of my phone case, and of course what happened? I dropped it into the salt water. Not for very long, it was only in there for a few seconds, but I panicked, I took it out, I turned my phone off and I put it in the locker and put it away for the rest of the day, which you'll have heard about. At the end of the day, obviously I needed to get an Uber back. My phone had been in the locker for quite a while by this point. I turned it back on, it seemed to be okay. I ordered an Uber. While I was waiting for the Uber, I downloaded a few videos I'd had on my phone to my Google Drive, just while I was waiting, so I didn't have that long, so there were only 2 of them that I managed to upload, and they are the 2 videos that you've actually seen in the vlog. Unfortunately, in the Uber on the way back, my phone started to glitch out. The screen was going funny colours and going fuzzy. Luckily I made it back to my hotel, but on the walk back to my hotel room my phone died. I was a bit of a wreck. Obviously being alone in another country and feeling like my method of communication had been cut off. It hadn't been cut off. I had my Kindle with me. I managed to video call my parents through Facebook Messenger on my Kindle. I went down to reception, just in a complete panic and crying, and the Disney cast members were so lovely. Unfortunately I was in such a state I didn't get their names. I really wish I had, because they were so helpful. They told me I wasn't alone, they gave me loads of really helpful suggestions about what I could do. Unfortunately none of them panned out. A lot of American phones aren't compatible with UK SIM cards. I wasn't going to get a new contract just for the rest of the length of my stay. In the end, my parents came up with the idea of sending me an old phone from the UK. It was my dad's old phone that was partially damaged. So obviously this had happened on the Saturday, but by the time I'd spoken to my parents it was Sunday in the UK. Shipping companies don't work on Sunday, so it wouldn't ship they wouldn't get picked up from them until Monday, and then there were delays, so it took about 5 or 6 days to actually reach me. I'd been worried that my SIM card wouldn't work, so I actually put a message out on one of the UK Disney Facebook groups, and a lovely lady called Abby replied. I'm actually going to insert my response from, it was sort of the day after, because it's really heartfelt, so I'm going to insert that here. I'm part of a Facebook group called something like Walt Disney World UK Planning Forum, something like that. I posted my problem on there saying if there was anyone in the UK that would be willing to let me try my SIM card in their UK phone. I know American phones can sometimes be touchy about UK SIM cards, so I didn't want to add that to the equation. Actually very quickly, considering that I posted this at, I think it was about 6 in the morning USA time, very quickly a lovely lady asked what hotel I was staying at. Obviously I told her it was All Star Movies, and she said she was there too and she was willing to let me try my SIM card in her phone. So we arranged to meet in the food court at 8, and she turned up and we just chatted for about half an hour. She was so lovely. So in the unlikely event, Abby, that you ever watch this, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was just so nice to talk to someone and take my mind off it all. Yeah, feeling a little bit emotional just there thinking about it. Just the kindness of strangers. She was so lovely and it just took my mind off everything for half an hour. Unfortunately, when the phone did arrive, my SIM card didn't work in it. Well, weirdly the phone registered that the SIM card was in there, it registered the network. It actually worked on the internet, which is why it had worked in Abby's phone, because it had registered the internet and it was actually sent like an internet message instead. But my phone would not send or receive any texts or phone calls, and that was the main reason I was so worried about being without my phone. Was mainly my banking. So I'm with HSBC, and for most larger transactions you have to use the app to generate a security code, and sometimes it sends you a text message, and basically that I was completely cut off from that. So I was cut off from all my HSBC cards. I have a Sainsbury's travel passport money card, but I was transferring what money I needed from my current account onto that as I went, which, lesson learnt, make sure you've got all your money in one place, just in case. So yeah, I felt like I was without money, which I wasn't in the end, luckily. My dad managed to log on to my account in the UK and just had to transfer really small sums, so I wasn't generating a security password. So he transferred small sums at a time, and that did work. The other thing was I couldn't use Uber. Uber sends you, obviously it's through an app, you need the internet. I tried to get the Uber app on my Kindle or on the new phone, but it wants to send a text message to your number. You'll find that happens a lot. So again, it was the same with HSBC. If I tried to download it on my Kindle or the new phone, it wanted to send a text message to you to confirm you were who you were. And I didn't have a mobile phone. It's like an endless loop that you end up trapped in, and it's really horrible. But having said that, I survived. Again, I just want to come back to the cast members at Disney. They were absolutely incredible. They actually put a note on my room to say that I could make international calls and they wouldn't charge me for them. There was a slight hiccup with that when I phoned the EE technical support when my SIM card wasn't working, and the technician was absolutely baffled. They couldn't figure out why the internet would work but texts and calls wouldn't. It was obviously some weird glitch because of the salt water, but it turns out that's a charged number, but because I'd just been told any UK calls were fine and I wouldn't be charged, I got a phone call saying that I owed them money for an international phone call. So again, went down to reception. I was willing to pay the money, but again, just a little bit emotional. And then yeah, the lovely cast member sort of said, oh well, obviously you weren't told that charge numbers weren't included, so we'll let you off for this one, but don't do it again, essentially. But yeah, everyone who pitched in to help me in this time of need was absolutely brilliant, particularly my parents, managing to ship that phone out to me as quickly as they did, the EE technician, the Disney cast members, Abby, just a guest at All Star Movies. Everyone really pitched in and yeah, restored my faith in human kindness. It was a horrible experience, and one that on my next Disney trip I will do my absolute best to mitigate. I'm not going to take 2 phones, that'd be ridiculous, but I'm just going to think about all the lessons I learnt and what to do for next time. But yes, I'm sorry this is a bit of a ramble. but I'm going to try and cut out all the negativity through the rest of the vlogs. So if there's missing footage here and there, that's probably what's happening. But yes, back to footage from Lynette, actually on holiday at the time. So my day at Discovery Cove was magical. I did have lots of footage of it, but that is now all on my salt-ridden phone. So I am going to try and take it somewhere, hopefully when I'm back, to extract as many files as I can. If not, there's just going to be no footage of my Discovery Cove day, but I do have all my photographs, so I'm sure I'll have inserted them as I was talking about Discovery Cove. But yeah, so that was my day 10. Very much a day of highs and lows. But yes, that was the end of it. I'm starting to move on. Still try and enjoy my holiday. So I'll see you in the next vlog. Bye.